Alright, so in this part of the video, I'm just going to go full clear, pretty much multiple zones and areas, and looking for rainbow goblins. And I'll talk about some tips or specific places that you want to look in an area. And for several places, I'm not going to backtrack. Backtracking is up to you and your decision and your playstyle preference. But personally, I just really don't like backtracking certain areas. Some areas I will check the whole area, and some I'll skip. And so I'll kind of mention it as we go. And so all in to search for this Cosmic Wings. Here we go. So in Act 1, I typically like to start in Royal Crypts. You want to check up here and down here. Some people just skip right down to the middle, which you can. You'll save time. It's kind of your preference. But a goblin can spawn at these edges too. And so you kind of want to look at it. And I guess I should also preface the fact that I like to kind of full clear areas rather than use Fog of War, because sometimes I don't hear the goblin. And so typically I have to check everything. So luckily I found the area, but I want to full clear this whole map for Cathedral 1. And so I went from Royal Crypts to Cathedral 1. And I like to full clear here because it has a good chance. I'll show you in the document the various gob spawn chances in different areas that I've been keeping track. And so typically I search the whole area. And once you get, like, it's really hard to go fast and comment, do commentary at the same time. And so basically what I've done is connect Cath 1, right? Cath 1 to Leoric Passage, and then go to Cath 2. And here's a goblin. Not it, so you just ignore it and move on. So in one area, only a single goblin can spawn. And so I don't have to look anymore. I just need to look for the next area. And so once you memorized enough of the map layout, you can just quickly move to the next one. So now I'm in Cathedral 3. Another goblin here. So typically, if I don't find the goblin, I'll search the whole area, right? And so either you'll go here, or you'll go here. It's one of the two paths. Cathedral 3 is pretty static. And so then you check the area, and then you would go to Cathedral 4. I don't check Cathedral 4. I just check the entrance here, and down here, and then I just go to the waypoint. And sometimes you'll get lucky and find the goblin. So from Cathedral 4, I go to Southern Highlands. And I look, so I got lucky. So the cave can spawn here. The cave can also spawn here. So look in terms of minimap. So there's two spots, right? Right when you come in, there's the first one and the second one. If it's not either of those two, you just go dash across. And so landmark that I check is this one. This one's always static. This long piece on the minimap, if you can see here. And then you check 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. So it can spawn in one of those 7 places on the minimap. So I just dash across the map. Sometimes they're shifted, so you'll have to check, but in general that's where the Cave of the Moon Clan can be found in Southern Highlands. And so since I already found the first one, I got lucky, right? And so I can just go directly in here. Well, luckily, this is one area I don't like to backtrack, but this place has a relatively good chance to spawn a goblin, so it's up to you whether you want to. I just look for the next area. So I move along, I find the next area. And then, this one's relatively static once you get to the middle, right? So this middle shape here will always be the same. So you check the crevices a little bit, right? And so it's not here, but that's where you would check. You would check because the goblins can hide on the edges of the crevices, so make sure you check the crevices enough before you move on. Then from the Cave of the Moon Clan, I go to Northern Highlands. This has a pretty good chance to spawn. The goblins can spawn up here as well, and so make sure you check the edges. Right, check the edges here. It can also spawn all the way down here, right? So in general, when you check, like, it doesn't take that long to check the edges if you practice how you move across the map. So same thing here. Check the edges. And then you start filling into the center. So there's one, right? So typically after you search the area, some people like to check this Highland cave, which you can. If you don't, you can just, so what I typically like to do, if there's nothing here, then I can quickly dash over here and move to the next waypoint, which is typically Weeping Hollow. But because this cave spawned, and sometimes people like to check this cave. I don't like to, but in case you wanted to, you can check this Highland cave. And this cave I don't really like. I don't backtrack in here either. And sometimes you'll find a goblin. And so this place has 3 sections, 3 major sections. And so once you count the 3 major sections, you can waypoint out of here. So how do I explain this? So show by example. So this is the last section. When you ever see this pillar, that means it's the end, right? But so if you check, there's the main section, the first section, the second section, and then the third section. There's a long, I guess, connector here. But you can kind of tell, and typically it's hard to find a goblin at the third section. But either way, like this is up to you whether you want to check in this area. But if you're done here, then you go to Weeping Hollow. And so again, you don't have to check all of these areas. I'm just showing you where some of the guides say you can check, and this is how you would go through them, right? So Weeping Hollow, I typically go to the left here and go track it. So something about Weeping Hollow, sometimes the goblin spawns like on this corner, and so you want to be close enough to make sure that you can hear it. But otherwise, you just want to sweep this area. Here's one, right? But you can keep sweeping this area, right? You don't have to go all the way up here, but I just do it for the sake of peace of mind. I haven't seen a goblin spawn all the way up there, but I have seen a goblin spawn up here on this corner. So in general, again, you want to check, right? But again, I wouldn't... so whenever you're running, you have to think about the size, like how long it takes to clear. And so let's see, this is Festering Woods after Weeping Hollow. You want to check your speed, how fast you clear an area versus the how fast or how often a goblin can spawn here, right? Because I mean, I've gotten rainbows in pretty much almost every area that I've been sweeping, right? So that's not the problem here. It's a matter of optimizing your goblin per hour time, right? And of course, there's no guarantees you'll get a goblin per hour. So that was Act 1. That's all I check, right? So some people also like to check Halls of the Agony. It's up to you. There's other places that I haven't checked. I haven't. It depends on how much you like searching certain areas. So next you go to Act 2. You have your West Channel 1. So this one, again, I don't backtrack. I don't like to backtrack this area. But that being said, people really like it. And so that's up to you. It's your choice. So I just look for an area. I have a systematic way of searching. And you should develop your own. And it's fine. The more you run this, the more you'll learn what each space looks like. So again, I found the goblin. If not, I would just check the whole area. This place has a good chance to spawn goblins. And if you're backtracking, you just go back to the area. If you otherwise, you can teleport waypoint here. If you're at the end here, this is like actually 1 second shorter. If you take this obelisk out, and you don't get the load screen. And so if you're optimizing speed and you get lucky at that obelisk, you should take that as your way out instead of using your waypoints. And sometimes you have these objectives, the bounties. So the bounties can tell you where the second level is. So that can also speed up your run in terms of how fast you want to do this. Just check out the whole area. Right? Now I go to the city of Caldeum. This is where Belial is. For here, you check this sewer. This is called the sewers of Caldeum. Right. Check the whole area. I tend to like this place. It's a little bit annoying to backtrack, but because this has a good chance to spawn goblins, and all of these things are relatively straight, right? The paths are straight and squarish instead of like curvy. And so I backtrack. So there's 2 choices. If you find the goblin quickly, the next place we want to go to is somewhere else. So you can either TP or come back to the exit from the sewers and you just go down here, right, to the flooded causeway to the ruined cistern here. So ruined cistern, the exit is also connected to Dagor Oasis, but Dagor Oasis waypoint is really far from a lot of things, so you don't want to necessarily take that waypoint. You can just take it from here, either from the sewers, or you can actually even take it from base. But same thing, you search. So yeah, if you see this one, this is Dagor Oasis, right? And then the waypoint is somewhere on this map, and it's fairly far, and it's not consistent. And so rather than going from Dagor Oasis to this ruined cistern, you want to take this waypoint from either... You want to take this pathway, this backwards pathway. So I came from sewers, the city of Caldeum, but you can also come from base. This is the base, hidden camp. Right? So this is camp. You can take this, And you can wrap around here as well if you want, right? And the cool thing about this place is that this is actually treated like town. And so if I want to waypoint out of here, I can just waypoint out of here, even though I'm in combat. And so that's just one neat trick that you can know. So now, after the sewers and the ruined cisterns are done, I come to Stinging Winds. And some people like to go from Howling Plateau. I like Stinging Winds. And then you go to this Black Canyon Mines. This Black Canyon Mine actually has a really good chance of spawning goblins. So I love checking here. Sometimes you want to check up here, because the goblin can spawn up here. Goblin spawns here. And the goblin can also spawn down here. I have gotten a rainbow goblin down here. So you want to check this. Goblin can spawn all the way down here too. You don't have to check all the way in, but you definitely want to go to this edge right here to be able to hear the goblin, right? So you check the edges like this. And if you don't find any goblins, I like to check the rest of the Stinging Winds on this half. Stinging Winds actually two halves of the map. This is the south half, and there's another one on the right if you go north of the waypoint. But I just take this left side only. And so you could check the goblins for here, right? Just do a little quick sweep. And then I go to the waypoint and go to the next area. So this is end of Act 2. So the next area I would go is Act 3. And so the reason I do this sweep in this direction is because then I can come back to a waypoint. I can finish searching. So because otherwise you would have to like teleport from a if I'm teleport, I have a teleport animation. This is 5 seconds plus you have load screen time. So it adds up to about 7 seconds. So instead of that, what you can do is using that 5 to 7 seconds, you can finish sweeping this area. It's up to you. Because you might find a goblin on the way here already. And you might find a goblin in Stinging Winds. You might find a goblin in BCM, Black Canyon Mines. And so you might want to just directly TP out of here. That's up to you. It's all about timing, right? And so you'll get a feel for it as you run. And so once you're done with this area, we go to Act 3. So we start with Battlefields. Battlefields also has a very good chance, but it's kind of an awkward place. But I typically sweep this top part, and then this top part, and then you just sweep across. Again, I'm clearing the whole map. I want to cover all the Fog of War. Goblins can spawn here on this edge, so you want to be careful about that. And typically goblins spawn on the staircase. I don't think I've ever seen a goblin up here, but I might be mistaken. So there, from this platform, you can actually go up north, or you can jump here. And so you can, even if you go up here, you don't have to backtrack. You can cut across from the platform. It's probably the farthest dash you can do. After Battlefields, you can come to this Field of Slaughter. So some people don't like Battlefields, they'll just come directly to the Bridge of Korsik Waypoint, which you can start here. So for me, since Battlefields is connected, I just come across the map, right? And this place actually has a decent chance for Goblin spawn. But it's big, and so it depends. It also has a chance to spawn in Caverns or Frost. So we can go in here. There's another version. So this map will always spawn one of two caves. It'll be either the Cavern of Frost or Icefall caves, I think. So you want to avoid the Icefall caves and you want to come to the Caverns of Frost, because the Caverns of Frost has a really good chance to spawn goblins. But let's say I didn't find a goblin in this area, right? So again, I would have to search this whole area, which I'm going to demonstrate, right? Goblins can spawn on the edges, so you have to be careful about those. So this one might take a little bit longer to sweep, and so you have to do the trade-off. Goblin chance is pretty okay. It's roughly 1/3. But there's a lot of ground to cover, right? But if you're looking for the Caves of Frost anyway, you could look for it. Or you notice that it's an Icefall Caves, so you still want to search this area. That's up to you. It's all about how you want to make up lost time, right? Here we go. Did we check? You can backtrack here if you want. The level 1 has a good chance to spawn, and so does level 2. This cave is pretty good for Goblin. But this cave doesn't spawn all the time, right? Because you sometimes get Icefall Caverns. Some dead ends. And then check. So again, in my example, I found this cave fairly early in the Fields of Slaughter. Right? And so if you wanted to, you could just take this, again, obelisk to the front if the timing is right, because again, it's like 1 second faster than the TP, if you were to TP here. But TP also has a load screen, right? So you add 2 seconds. And so if you search this area, you can also go to Rakkis, right? So again, these are connected. Battlefield, Fields of Slaughter, and Rakkis Crossing is all connected. So you can just dash across. So I don't check this very cleanly. I just dash across. And so you can see on my minimap, there's some gaps here based on how far I dash. I don't really care too much. This place has a roughly, it depends. This place is not that bad to search either. I have had several rainbow goblins on this path. That being said, like it's all RNG, right? So it's all chance. Goblins can spawn on this top edges here. So this top one and this one as well. And so just make sure if you run by it, like if you come close to the edges, you'll still hear them, goblins. And up to you whether you want to search this. So I search this. I can search this because they're all connected. See, so the battlefields to the field of slaughter, right, and Rakkis, they're all connected, and so that's why I choose to do that. But again, Rakkis, though it's a straight path, it's still fairly long. So it's up to you. So next, Towers of the Damned. With a dash bug, you can do this fairly quickly, but you want to also be fairly thorough when you check this. So I found the goblin, but I want to check the next level too. So but if I didn't find the goblin, I can search, because goblins can spawn up here too, on the edges, and I check the inner, so the outer donut and the inner donut. Search the next area. This level 2 has 2 different tile sets, and so don't get too confused. You'll get used to both either way. And I also checked this 3rd level called Heart of the Damned, because this also has, so I think Tower is not the greatest, but because the levels are fairly quick, I can just speed by them, and I go to the end and go to this waypoint instead of teleporting. Sometimes a goblin can spawn right at the entrance here. Ooh, it's Snitchly. Not that it really matters. I can't. I'm so weak. It's so hard to kill them. But sometimes goblins spawn here in the front. Snitchly is a unique. It's not a real goblin. But either way, you sometimes find a goblin up here. It's up to you whether you want to check that. Again, it's all about timing. So Tower of the Cursed, I hate, because the goblin chance is really low. But again, it's kind of quick, but I don't think it's worth it. So people can do it, so let me show you. So there's several reasons I don't like Tower of the Cursed. So the first reason is low goblin chance. I think it's roughly 10% from my data. I'll check the data again. So level 2 also has 2 different tile sets. And so if you're solo, you might accidentally click this thinking that it's the 3rd level, but this will lead you to the boss. And if you go to the boss, you can't waypoint out of there. You have to kill the boss before you go. And so there's no waypoint, so I have to teleport out. So it's 5 seconds plus 2-second load screen. So this takes a long time, so I don't really like it. And so the next place to go is Core of Arreat. This is the one that leads to Asmodan, the boss. So don't click the end. Once you see the end of the bridge, you're done. So this is people like this because it's really short, straight run, and it's fast. But this place also has a relatively low goblin spawn chance. So this is a trade-off between speed and because it's fast, it's worth checking the area, but it's opinion. Like, it's up to you. So that was the end of Act 3. I don't check some of the other places that people might check. So if you want to check Gardens, I think Gardens 1 is the only one really worth checking. But Gardens 2 actually also has a very good chance to spawn goblins. So you can spawn a goblin down here, and so you check this right side. I've never seen a goblin spawn up here, so I don't know about this. But if you want to take a look, you should take a look. So the only thing bad about this Gardens 1 is that you have 2 sides, and you have to backtrack to the other side. But a goblin can spawn on this bridge or at this end here. Don't worry about this part, this white part at the end. Goblins don't really spawn there. So from Goblin 1, you go to Goblin 2. Right. This was a big area, but so if you want to search this, I'll show you how. So right, you check down here because goblins can spawn here. Goblins can spawn pretty much everywhere on this map, right? So you check. So first you go down. Oh, there's a goblin, right? And then you go up. So first is down, right? That's how when you first come, you come down. So since you went down, now you go up. Check this area. Check the edges. You go check down again. The last one you check down twice, like this. And you get to the open area here and you're done. Right. If you want to check Gardens of Hope 3, it's up to you. Again, I think it has a lesser chance than Gardens of Hope 1 and 2, and it's kind of a big area. So you check down here, there's a goblin. But if you didn't see a goblin, you can check here, right? Check this area. So Dash Monk is very convenient for this because it kind of teleports, right? You don't have to worry about the landmark very much. But yeah, just check. So this area, you can check however you want to. Gardens 1, 2, and 3 are all the same, and so you can there's no RNG in the tile set. So in that way you can check all this. But again, this if you don't find a goblin, right? It's a trade-off between if you don't find a goblin, it takes a long time to clear the whole area. Right, so that's all I check in Act 4. Act 5, I only checked 2 places. I checked Pandemonium Fortress 1 and 2. In Pandemonium Fortress 1 and 2, it's pretty good chance, and there's special properties about this, right? So in either level 1 or 2, the chance to spawn goblins, if you find 1 goblin, there will always be a second goblin. So it's 0 or 2 goblins, always. So you'll find none or 2, right? And another thing about level 1 is that you only need to check 4, like, how do I describe it? 4 squares. And so I'll describe it. This is the first square. The very first platform you get to here, this is square 1. This is a certain tile set, a square tile set here. This is 1. And then once connected to it, it could either be down here, but this one's cut off, right? So in this randomization, it's not here. You can check up here. This is the second tile set. This will be the third. And this would be the fourth. Again, these tile sets can be randomized, but you only need to check the first 4. Beyond these first 4, you don't need to check any of the additional parts of the map because the goblins will not spawn there. Right? So that saves you a lot of time. So I check. So sometimes it's this 4. Sometimes it'll be this 4 down here. Right? It depends on what the layout of the map is. So let me just show you what the other parts of the map look like. So it won't be here. It won't be here. Like all these extra stuff, it's not here. This will lead you to the next map, level 2. But yeah, all this extra time searching up here you'll waste time. So this is an event part. Right. So you only need to check, again, the first 4 of Pandemonium Fortress level 1. So you come back to the waypoint instead of teleporting, go to level 2. This one is bigger, but this also has a fairly static, there's some of the squares are randomized, but it's a 9 square tile set. So let's see, this is 1. Well, I'll clear the whole thing first, and then I'll show you what it looks like. It's a grid of 3 by 3. So as you keep running this, you can keep track of what part of the grid you're on, so that you can go to 3 by 3, right? So this one doesn't. So typically there is a center section, but in this map, this randomized map, it doesn't have one. So if you look at the map here, you can see the grid, right? Three rows, 3 columns, this diagonally. And in this case, there is no center piece, but sometimes there is. You can go out here. There'll be no goblins in this. Whenever you see these portals on the minimap, right? Oh, weird names. That's an error. But this is basically from Pandemonium Fortress level 1 as a connector. Right? This connects to level 1 that we saw earlier. So if we go here, you see how it connects. Right? But there will never be a goblin on this platform. So, and there will never a goblin on this square of a tile set. It will only be on the 3 by 3 grid. And additionally, in level 1 and level 2, you always go to the right of the waypoint. So if you look at this, you always go right of the waypoint up here, not to the left, not to this other portals. This is not where you want to go. No goblins will spawn there. So in level 1 as well, you don't go to the left here. There's nothing here. You always go to the right first, and then you check the first 4 for level 1. Right. So that is a full clear. Luckily, we got Caverns of Frost and Highland Cave. Those are RNG sometimes, but I will give a list of my experimental data. I've counted all the goblins I found and roughly over 200 runs, and so you can check and see your goblin chances. I didn't really get all the timings down, but you can watch this video. I know that I paused at some places, but you can check and see what locations, what zones are worth your time and your speed. And I would highly recommend a dash monk that you see on my character here. If you want to see what my character specs are as well, I'll probably link them in the description. Right? But basically, I have a dash monk. I have 1 item for damage if I need it. And difficulty doesn't matter. There's a lot of things here. I'm like skipping around. This will be part of a larger video series describing your Rainbow Goblin guide. And so that's all. Until next time.